Share the screen.
Keeping this on track. All right, so I was just going through, and you guys, once you get that done, please feel free to add. But I realize that there's in this room, especially, and I don't know what we have online, but a lot of you have not, maybe not even done planning, haven't opened this at all. So there's like different skill levels, and I thought it actually might be really helpful just for me to point out a few things, because I've told some of you these things and not others. So first thing, once you open CLO3D, how this file actually has an avatar here. But in avatar, you have over here in the library, if this is closed, you have this window over here. You can click on library. You can double click on avatar, and you've got different options here. I'm just going to go with the female option since that's what we're doing. So if you don't have an avatar on your screen, you go here. You can see that down we have some different options here. And then once you pick an avatar, you can actually go in and change the hair, pose, motion. You can go through all of these things. And the size too. I'm just going to put an avatar there. So I'm going to just double click. You've got to double click on the avatar. So you double click, and I want to open it. So I'm going to open that, and it will replace what I have. So now I've got my avatar here. And you can see in the 2D window, we have a nice outline. So this is really handy because it gives you a reference for how big your pattern piece is in relation to the avatar, right? Actually, let's make the avatar a different size. So if I double click on size, because we've all been looking at this one, so let's change the size. So I'm just going to double click here, and I can do, I'm actually make this a list. So here we could do icons or lists. So as we see that in like Google Drive, things like that, right? I'm going to do, let's do a curve. So if I double click on this, I have 2, 4, I have 2 to 20. So I'm just going to click, let's click a size 12. I'm going to double click that, and it changes my avatar to that size. So now I have, and it changes it over here too. So now I have this size avatar. And I can work in this space. As far as navigating in the space, you definitely will want a mouse. And if you have trouble figuring out how to navigate in this room, in the 2D window, if you left click, you just draw. If you click down on the scrolling wheel, if you literally click on the scrolling wheel and drag, it moves this around. Okay. Same thing with this side. Okay. So if you have a three button mouse, it might be the middle button does that. In both windows, if you have a wheel on your mouse, that is how you zoom in and out. And then in the 3D window, if you right click and drag, you spin your model around, okay, your avatar. If you need to change this, you go to preferences and you go to, settings, and you go to user settings, and you go to view controls, and you can literally set this up how you want.
If your user interface looks a little bit different from what's right up here and it's off to the side, you can also scroll down to user interface, and then you can see where the 3D toolbar and 2D toolbar is, and you can orientate it to the top, left, right, or bottom. Typically, we've been setting up at the top, and all the tutorials at Kent are also set up the same way. So it just seems like there's a little bit more space to utilize there with that specific setup.
Thank you for including that, for sure. And most of the tutorials you'll find online or things like that are tutorials. Any tutorials you find, they're usually at the top, so it just kind of makes it easy to follow. So that is kind of just some navigation to get to. And then for your tools, you've got up here, this is just kind of your basic, imagine this is you can select things with this. So, so let's make a shape. So we've got, this is just to draw a shape, but remember you can click and if you hold down, you'll get your other options here. You can do that with all of these that have the little, this little triangle in the corner. So you can see how you have these different options. So that's where you find all those tools. Oops. I'm gonna actually do a rectangle. This is a great pattern shape. So I've got this rectangle. If I want to move it, I can, drag it around with this tool, right? And then this tool here, we can edit the pattern in different ways, transform the point and segment. That's kind of like direct select in Illustrator, because I can do this, right? I could select these and drag it this way, right? So that's kind of what that one does. And then, you have different options here. This is to draw inside. So you can draw inside the piece here. So things. If we do this here, edit the pattern, I could click on this. Right click, and I'm just going to cut it, and it'll cut these two pieces apart. So those are just really simple things. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you get to this point, obviously this is further down, but just to help you see this is that you're to, so say this is a pattern and we want to see what happens. So say you've got a pattern over here. This is how you simulate it sewing, this arrow. If it's not sewn together, it falls to the ground, right? So you have to actually have it sewn together and also arrange the body in order to stay. So like someone had a t-shirt open and the pattern pieces in this window were all out here. So it sewed the t-shirt up perfectly, but it just fell to the floor because it wasn't actually on the avatar. So those are some things like if you're struggling, it's like, oh, this is not going to work. So, I mean, you even picked up the floor with the little click, we have this little hand that will pick up the fabric, but it doesn't go anywhere. So it's kind of funny actually that it does that. So and then we can reset that. There's a button up here. We can reset this. So those are just some really simple things that can help you do a lot more quickly. They're in the tutorials, but I think those are just like, okay, that's how this space kind of works with some really, really basic things. Is there anything else? I don't think it's told anybody else anything.
Do you want to talk about placement points on the 3D figure, or is that maybe not yet?
Oh, the placement points. Well, we can let's open up this very well, right?
Oh no, yeah, it won't work.
Actually, let's just draw a little dress. That's easy enough to do. Like a little swing dress. So if we draw, so I'm going to draw on the half because when if we're doing something symmetric, we do not want to, we don't want to try to draw symmetric when we can make it look pretty perfect, but generally people don't draw that perfectly, right? Space is that one. Yes, okay. So if I click here and drag, I'm going to hold down Shift. So just like Illustrator, you'll get this. If I want this really like squared at center front or like perfectly parallel, I can do that, right? And then I'm going to get rid of this and go straight up here. So now I have a front, and I can actually right-click this and do symmetric pattern with sewing. If you don't want to do symmetric, you don't have to, but I'm going to do symmetric pattern. So see, now I have two of them, right? Didn't even have to, not even copy and paste, just do that. And then for the back, I'm just going to get these out of the way, right-click, and drag these over here. I'm going to draw, actually, I'm going to copy these. I copy and paste, and I'm going to make this my back. I'm just going to change the hem a little bit. So if I change I'm going to make it a high-low. So I'm going to get my edit pattern tool. I'm going to hold Shift so this goes straight down. I'm going to drag this down. So now I have a back. Of course, I need to drag the front up too. And you can see when I edit the back, it edits the both sides, right? So so I don't have to try to copy it. Now I have both sides. Here, can I? Now the only thing is I'd really like to get rid of the center front seam.
So you're in the center front seam.
Remind me how to do that.
You just click on those two lines, and it will automatically and then it is merge. Yep.
Now we have one whole thing.
And then you just take that. Oh, I guess we don't need to get rid of that line. Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
Do you want to show them how to sew it together?
Sure. So now we've got a basic garment out here, right? So in order to get it onto the form, we've got to sew it up, number one, and then we've got to place it. So sewing with CLO3D is much quicker than sewing in person.
Also, it's all already cut out for you. You didn't have to cut it out, the fabric.
So we're just going to attach these two sides together, and you can see that this little tiny arrow, or that little tiny notch that you're seeing, is showing you your sewing direction.
So you just clicked on
Oh yeah, I got ahead of myself. I'm using segment sewing right now, and segment sewing will always give you those lines. So I'm just going to click on here to make sure that that notch lines up, since up here I want to make sure the HPS, the notch is on the same side of the HPS. So now I've attached that, attach that there, attach that there. Now it looks a little bit wackadoodle right now, right? So I'm going to head over here and place these around. So over here you can see the arrangement points. If I turn those on, we get these blue dots all over her, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the garment, and I want to get this on her. And by clicking on these arrangement points, let me show you, I'll pull it away a little bit more. You can see where the garment is going on her body. So I'm going to place it here, and I'm going to pull it out a bit. Now I'm going to pull these garments, or these pieces, to the back, right backwards. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to flip horizontally. I'm going to flip horizontally on this other one. And now I'm going to use those placement points again to get it to be where I need it. And now that they're curved around, I'm just going to orientate these a bit.
You can't have the fabric cutting into the body or it won't sew together.
Oops. So that's looking pretty good now. So at this point, we just hit the enter bar, and let's see what happens. And it's now a strapless. So that's not how that's supposed to work. So let me go ahead and backspace Alt-Z.
So I have trouble with this sometimes because what happened is those sewing lines were going through the shoulder, and it's not high enough. I've run it with I'm doing bras, and there's a lot of random little pieces, and I'm telling you, those arrangement points don't really work very well for the kind of garments that I'm doing. So I usually have to just carefully arrange them myself, and be really careful to figure out okay, where is this one going to go so that it's not crossing the body and getting all weird. So
let's try it one more time.
Yeah.
Let's get those going.
There we go.
Yeah.
And voila. Dress in 2 seconds.
Now, does it fit? We have, that's a whole other thing. If this is right now, it starts out as woven fabric, that's the standard. If this was a knit dress, it probably would be fine, right? Because knit stretches a little bit more. But if this was woven, it could be a little bit tight.
I was looking for the fit tool.
It's that one right there.
Over here?
Yeah. So you can look at the stress.
So you can look at this garment and turn on tools. Like for instance, this shows where it's stressed out. You can see by those colors. Anything that's in that red indicates this is not fitting very well. As you can see right now, everything's actually draping across bust line nicely. The shoulders are looking pretty good.
Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah.
There's a few more. So there's different ones. So then there's that one is. So that one has some red. So that is the
This one is the strain map.
So it's straining a bit. And then that is just the fit map. So there's kind of some different, and this one's just literally shows you. I'm shocked that it's not worse. I'm really shocked that it's not worse
It
for
actually,
freehand.
It actually fits pretty well. The only thing we really got is just kind of blending out that armhole a little bit, but that's it.
Yeah, see the point under the arm? That's why we have to blend it, because we don't want that. So.
Exactly, so we can go ahead and blend that out if we'd like to. So let's.
The other thing is you don't have to put seam allowance on it to trust the sewing. So you don't need the seam allowance to test the sew. So that would be one. I don't even mess with seam allowance until I'm happy with the pattern and I'm ready to print it out and actually sew it up. So
I'm gonna just straighten that out a little bit. Ooh, it's looking a little funky. Yeah, I gotta get that curve point. Trying to give it a little bit of straight, curve it in. Might change the. Oh, it's got a weird look to it now.
But that, and then you would want to walk. Now these should walk because I used the front to make the back, right? So everything should walk. I didn't change anything, but if you start changing on the length, those kinds of things. Also, I didn't check that the front hem flows to the back. You know, like that curve on the side, so I don't know if it flows perfectly, so you'd want to like blend that together. So
there we go. So that's looking a bit better on that piece.
So then you can, changes it in both windows right away, so you don't have to go back and forth. It just automatically updates it.
Exactly. Isn't that cool? We literally made, if you were doing this in person, oh, Chrissy, how much would you say it would take to get this?
I would still be drawing on paper probably. And then, I have not even gotten to sewing. I would be still in the paper, right?
Right.
And then you can print this out. Now, the other thing too is that once you get to this point, obviously you want to make sure you follow measurements and do those kinds of things. So that's why we put in the sloper development. So if I were really to do this really well, if I was trying to do a woven dress, I would actually put the bodice sloper in here and as my guide to start with. So I actually have something to go by. But this is, you can kind of draw this pretty easily. And it's nice that you have this sort of the shadow of the person over here so that you can see kind of how the proportions, right? And imagine if you wanted to create style lines in this garment. Maybe we want to add a seam here. We're going to do some color blocking, or something like that. We can. I only have one. There you go. It went to both sides. So I could cut this apart actually and do cut and sew. So it's I need to put the sewing lines on there. Yeah, they're already on that. So now I already have that sewn up. So now I have, maybe I want to put a different color on that part. So that's also helpful for proportions. Like maybe I think this is too low. I want it to be higher. I can modify some of those things. I could just maybe undo that. And then now I can move those lines. But you do want to follow measurements and make, so it does fit. So you don't want to skip the finesse of those things. That's the main thing with this is it's so easy to get to something like this so fast. Don't forget to learn like the measurements and those kinds of things, which is where, if you learn it with paper, there's no way around that, right? So you don't want to skip that element of this just because it's easier to do this really quickly, right? So it's making sure you take those steps to learn how it's made. And you can do it all on here, really. You don't have to do it with paper, but usually that's where it's, people sometimes learn that first. So take those sloper, like that PDF of the sloper development and apply that to this and develop that pattern that's really nice. And then fit it to your avatar. And then you can print out things. You can save it as a PDF, so you can export it and save it as some different types of files. We've put it in the laser cutter and cut out a pattern piece with the laser cutter.
And we have a plotter printer upstairs in the lab, so you can come in and bring your PDF file and print the pattern pieces, so you can have that.
That's actually a really important point.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is that you can actually take these files and print them and your patterns are to scale and ready to go.
Yeah.
So whether you're in flat pattern, junior studio, senior studio, or whatever other, the tech lab is always available to you, and additionally, it is much cheaper
Oh, yeah.
to print there than go over to FedEx.
Oh, yeah.
And also, the faculty or the staff there knows what they're talking about. So when you bring in a DXF file or a PDF or whatever it might be, they're going to be able to know what they need to do to get that printed for you and get it to scale.
You can print on a lot of 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper and tape them all together, but if you can avoid that, I would.
It's a hot mess.
Don't do that if you
Because
can
you
avoid
might
it.
cut the wrong thing,
Yes.
you know, the alignment is just so tricky.
Yes.
It's just spend, I don't know, 40 cents or whatever it
Yes.
is per foot, you know, it's really affordable to print up there. Right now, it is getting repaired. It'll be back online on Wednesday, so
Okay.
don't go up there Monday or Tuesday, probably, or Wednesday. Go in Thursday if you need anything printed. But I guess we have a few more minutes, so I did ask if there's any questions, but no one's responded just yet. Are there any questions from you guys? Anything you want to see before I show resources and next steps? I mean, we still have time. We'll be in here. Just want to get it through the recording so that
Yes.
it goes online and we don't have to have 10 minutes of white noise. Okay, so did you stop the share?
Yes, I did. I did. Stop
Okay.
the share.
No worries. Okay, let's bring this down. Start the share again. It's in this one, yeah. Here we go. So the last few slides we had here are resources. So again, as earlier, the CLO website has a ton of resources. And they have forums where you can ask questions and get answers from other users. It is incredibly helpful. They have a YouTube channel with a ton of different videos, step-by-step, as you showed already. They do free workshops and summits, they call them summits, every so often. So I would suggest if this is something you're interested in, just get on their mailing list. That way you know when the events are, or sign up if you're into social media, sign up for whatever your social media platform of choice is. They're usually on there. I follow them on Facebook. So I learn of things through there. And then the textile channel will have the recording for the first part is already up there. As soon as this one's done and processed, I'll download it and put it up there as well, so you can rehash whatever was said. Next workshop is November 19th, and we have a Slack channel for communicating post-event, and we're all so. And most of the students that registered for the event got the invite as well for Slack in their email. So just go on there, and hopefully we'll be building more community as this continues so that we can have a fantastic runway show at the end of the year. Crossing fingers, it'll be co-located with the actual fashion show in some way, shape, or form. The powers that be don't know this yet.
This is our dreams.
Yes, this is our goal.
Exactly.
So I was just thinking, like, for those of you in this class, like maybe for the next atelier, maybe your goal should be like have like a sloper done. It could be anything, but just have a nice pattern that you can then apply the grading to, right? So just work through having just one that you could
What
then.
is grading?
Grading
For freshmen that might not know.
So grading is creating a size set. So if you need, maybe you've developed a size 8 and the 0 through 12 or something. So you're gonna do that, plot out all of those different sizes.
It's
we
a
don't grow-
fantastic skill to have.
Yeah, we don't grow a pattern, like you don't think about like if you just drag and make a pattern bigger, that's not how people are, like that makes it taller too. People don't just get exponentially taller.
And wider.
So you change the width differently than you do the height, and if you have darts and things like that, those change too. So it's how to move those points to make them the pattern smaller or larger for different sizes.
Okay, so we'll stop sharing and we'll stop recording. So thank you for joining us. And yes, my shared window is gone. Where's my? There's too many things to.
I think you have to put the X.
About the,
Oh.
so